go on to our first leg entanglement, which is going to be the single leg X Ashi Garami. So, single leg X, like the name suggests, I'm going to create some sort of X with my legs, and I'm only on one leg right here. Single leg X, again, can get a little nuanced because there's this thing called reaping, okay? Especially in IBJJF and a lot of these other tournaments. If I'm a lower belt, this foot right here is not allowed to go past the midline. So the midline of his chest to his belly button, my toes aren't allowed to cross that, creating downward pressure on the knee right here because this starts to turn into a reap. So you can see how easily this single leg X can turn into an inside Ashi with an outside heel, which is especially devastating. So the entire idea of this is keeping his upper body and his lower body, right back to that motif, away from one another and not working functionally as a unit. So I like to extend him away from here with my toes underneath his butt cheek right here, my heel on his like floating rib, toes on the outside. And it's important, a lot of people keep this really wide right here. You're gonna wanna pinch the knees, creating as much control over their hips as possible. And now it's very difficult for him to start leaning in to prevent me from leaning back on this straight ankle lock, okay? So, toes on the outside, keeping them away. Do not bring this across. This is called a reap, and it's illegal. And when you get, past a certain level, or you're in gyms that are comfortable with this, this doesn't really matter, okay? Bringing this across, but you need to know at your level, if you're brand new, you need to keep this here to prevent the reap, if reaping is illegal. Now, a lot of people will tell you that they like the reap, but I'll tell you that even in advanced divisions, I don't do the reap when I'm going for a straight ankle, because now he can come forward and he can, close that space. Where when I had this foot on the rib, now I can like kick him away and keep that distance. So I like doing that. The other thing is, as I reap, it starts opening me up to counterattacks, which I don't want to deal with. So, keeping this here, not reaping, all right? I'm pinching my knees. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a barrier underneath his Achilles right here. I'm trying to put pressure down on that. So as I create this barrier, I try to get the boniest part of my wrist right underneath that Achilles tendon, the soft, gushy part of his ankle, and the hardest part of my wrist now collide to create that tap. All right, and the higher up you are on the toes, the more angle that you're gonna get. But then you also have to understand that the looser it might become where he slips out his toes, right? And there's gonna be a lot of defense to this. So a lot of people are gonna try to boot, and you're gonna be trying to finish this move from right here, and you probably won't get it, so you have to learn how to sneak this down and finish this move. The other thing that we see a lot right here is this like wide chicken wing. So let's move this way. Scoot that way for me. Is when they get in here, you're gonna have like this a lot of space right here. All right, and so a lot of people will close that space by coming in here, and that's not gonna give you nearly as much torque, and it goes to the softer part of the arm. So from right here, we get our bony part, and we wing this in right here. And that's gonna create a lot more torque, and it's gonna create a lot more tension on that joint. So let's go back to over here. So I'm right here doing all the things I'm supposed to do. I drop back in, try to get the bony part on the tendon, and, or not the tendon, yeah, the Achilles. And I'm gonna wing, and then, yeah, see, he's already tapping. And as, like, even though this is getting the tap now, this is not, these are not the finishing mechanics yet. I'm getting this super tight, so I'm gonna loosen this up. Actually, the finishing mechanics are gonna be bellying down and then scooching away from him as I hip forward into the submission. I'm creating as much angle as possible by bellying down and looking away, okay? So if I didn't have his leg right here, so I'm gonna give you your leg back. So imagine his leg is right here. So as if I can just go right here, yeah, there's some angle right there. But if I can belly down and then extend away, look how much angle I create on that hip. I know it's a weird movement, but bellying down is gonna allow the most angle to be created. So one more time. I get in here, I have my toes in the butt, here, soft spot, on my soft spot of his Achilles on the bony part of my wrist. I go all the way down, and I start to extend away. I'm going to let go of the submission to show how far I can pull this. So imagine right now if his ankle was where my arm or my elbow pit is. That would definitely break on almost anybody.